Hello, I'm Samuel, and this is Analytical Mysticism. So the Buddha taught, the first thing that he ever taught were the Four Noble Truths, and these were the foundations of the rest of his teachings. So in summary form, the first truth is the truth of suffering. The second truth is the truth of the origin of suffering. The third truth is the truth of the cessation or ending of suffering. And the fourth truth is the path, the truth about the path which leads to the ending of suffering. So, the first truth was the idea that life is interspersed with suffering. Being separated from things that you like is suffering. Dissatisfaction and suffering. So, for example, if a loved one dies, being separated from them is a source of dissatisfaction and suffering. Or being placed into contact with things that you don't like is a source of suffering and dissatisfaction. So like when you have to eat food that you don't like. And ultimately, when things fail to meet your expectations, that is suffering. Which leads him to the second noble truth, that all these sources of dissatisfaction in life, all these sources of suffering, have an origin, they have a cause. And the cause of that is that we cling on to things which are only ever very temporary, they're impermanent. Things are coming into this world and then coming out of this world. Things are in a constant cycle of change. So everything is always being born, right, and then dying. It goes from one state to another. So very physically in ourselves, right, over a certain period of time, there's not a single cell in your body that stays the same. If you want to go even further down into it on the atomic level, every time you breathe in air, a whole flux of new atoms are entering into your body, and when you blow out, a whole new stream of atoms are exiting as well. So your body is in every moment in a constant state of change. And the same goes for your mind as well. So, you're always you always have new thoughts, you're being put into new situations, you're being placed into contact with new things, so that your mental state is always changing, that you're never the same from one moment to another. So you're not the same person who you were 10 seconds ago, or at the start of this video, or a month ago, or who you were when you were 10 years old. You're always in the process of changing. You're impermanent, that you're in one state at one moment, and then you switch to another state. You're born in one moment with a new set of thoughts and a new body and a new way of thinking about things, and then you die. And that's the process of things. So suffering comes from, you could say, imposing our ideas on how reality should operate onto reality itself. The fact of the matter is that things do change, right? And then clinging onto things, a certain version of things, right? Such as the idea that, this person is going to exist in this way for the rest of eternity, that will obviously cause us disappointment. It will fail to meet our expectations and we'll be dissatisfied. So that came to the Buddha's third noble truth, which is that we can end this suffering, right? We can end our dissatisfaction with life. We don't have to cling after things which are impermanent. Rather, we can enter into a state of constant happiness without suffering, by not clinging onto these things which are impermanent, by rather, being in connection with that which is permanent, having permanent states of mind, right? Though there might be, small changes here and there, we're not, following, like you'd say, like when a dog runs after every car on the street, that we're not chasing after every new experience thinking this is what's going to bring me happiness, because you've already found happiness in that which is permanent instead of that which is impermanent, because finding that in what is impermanent brings suffering. So that leads to the fourth noble truth, which is the idea that there's a path to ending this suffering. And to put it in summary form, as the Buddha did, there's 8 different ways of doing this, or 8 different steps, if you will, that all interact with each other, but they can be grouped into 3. And that's the development of insight, the development of ethics, and the development of meditation. And that by developing meditation, insight, and ethics, right, we can find a state of mind where we're always happy because we've gotten rid of our clinging to things which are impermanent, and rather are now relying on that which is permanent. So, if you found this video to be insightful, I would recommend that you check out my other videos and subscribe.